Hello everyone and welcome to Online Storytime. This week's story theme is monsters. So I have lots of exciting monster books to read with you today. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in with our first book, and it's called The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. I bet you know who Grover is. He's from Sesame Street. What did that say on the first page? What did that say? Did that say there will be a monster at the end of this book? It did. Oh, I am so scared of monsters. Shh. Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please do not turn the page. You turned the page. Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book. And there is a monster at the end of this book. But this will stop you from turning pages. See, I am tying the pages together so you cannot. You turned another page. You do not know what you are doing to me. Now stop turning pages. There. I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn it, and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. All right. Do you know that every time you turn another page, you not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you will make a terrible mess. This will stop you from turning pages. A heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn this page. Let's see if we can do it. You ready? Do you know that you are very strong? He knocked down his brick wall. The next page is the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I'm so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please. We have to turn the page. We have to see the monster, right? Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and the only one here is me. I, lovable furry old Grover, and the monster at the end of this book. And you were so scared. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, I am so embarrassed. So there was no monster, it was just Grover. But he was pretty scared, wasn't he? All right, our next story is called There's a Nightmare in My Closet. It's by Mercer Mayer. Have you ever thought you saw a nightmare in your closet? This little boy thinks he has one in his closet. There used to be a nightmare in my closet. Before going to sleep, I always closed the closet door. I was even afraid to turn around and look. When I was safe in bed, I'd peek sometimes. One night, I decided to get rid of my nightmare once and for all. As soon as the room was dark, I heard him creeping toward me. You see him there? Quietly, I turned on the light and caught him sitting at the foot of my bed. Go away, nightmare, or I'll shoot you, I said. I shot him anyway. My nightmare began to cry. I was mad, but not too mad. Nightmare, be quiet or you'll wake Mommy and Daddy, I said. He wouldn't stop crying, so I took him by the hand and tucked him in bed. And closed the closet door, because even nightmares are scared of things in the closet. I suppose there's another nightmare in my closet, but my bed's not big enough for three. Do you see the other nightmare? But he can't fit 3 people in his bed, so that nightmare is just going to have to stay in the closet. But they don't seem like they're scary nightmares. They seem like they're pretty They're pretty nice. And even a little bit scared too. All right. We're going to do a song together, and you are going to get your monsters out. Did you know you have little monsters in your pocket? You got to reach in your pocket really far and pull out your 5 little monsters on your hand. All right, we're going to sing this song together. Are you ready? 5 little monsters sitting on the floor. The first one said, "Let's knock on someone's door." The second one said, "Let's act a little scary." The third one said, "Why are we so hairy?" The fourth one said, "I hear a funny sound." The fifth one said, "There's no one else around." Then whoosh went the wind, and eek, someone said. So 5 little monsters ran under the bed. Because even monsters get scared too. All right. Our next book is called I Need My Monster, and it's by Amanda Knoll. Tonight, when I looked under the bed for my monster, I found this note instead. "Gone fishing, back in a week. Gabe." What was I going to do? I needed a monster under my bed. How was I supposed to get to sleep if my monster was gone? I tried to sleep, but it wasn't the same without Gabe. I missed the ragged breathing, his nose whistling, the scrabbling of his uncut claws. How would I ever get to sleep without Gabe's familiar scary noises and his spooky green ooze? It was no use. Gabe would be gone for a week, and I just had to have a monster. I climbed quietly out of bed so my parents wouldn't hear me. Grown-ups have some strange ideas about monsters under beds. I knocked on the floorboards and scrambled back under my covers. I waited nervously. Would a new monster appear? What would he be like? Would his snorting be as cheerful as Gabe's? So he needs a substitute monster while his monster is gone. When I heard some creaking under my bed, I knew that the substitute monster had arrived. "Good evening," said a low, breathy voice. "My name is Herbert, and I will be your monster for this evening." "Herbert? What kind of a name is that for a monster? You don't sound scary at all. Have you ever scared a kid before?" "Well, no, but I have read all the best books on the topic." "Do you have long teeth and scratchy claws?" I asked. "No, but I have an overbite. And I'm a mouth breather. Listen." Herbert's panting was kind of scary, but it wasn't enough for me. "Listen, Herbert, I'm sorry. I just don't think this is going to work. It's nothing personal, but I really need a monster with claws." "Picky, picky," Herbert complained. "As you wish, I'll go." There was some more creaking, and Herbert was gone. He doesn't think Herbert's very scary. He doesn't look very scary to me either. Some scratching warned me that a second monster had appeared. "Good evening," he said in a high, silky voice. "My name is Ralph. I understand you need a monster with claws. If you would please lean over, I will hold out an arm for inspection." I crouched on the edge of the bed, hoping to see a horrible, shaggy arm with sharp, ragged nails. Instead, I was surprised to see sleekly brushed fur with smooth, shiny claws. "Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude," I asked, "but is that nail polish on your claws?" "Yes, it is," Ralph replied. "I believe professional monsters should always be well groomed." I could tell that this was not going to work either. "I'm sorry to disappoint you, Ralph, but I need a monster with scary claws, like Gabe's," I thought. I heard some more scratching, and I knew Ralph was gone. So this monster had claws, but they weren't scary claws. They're actually quite pretty. A minute later, a third voice from under the bed rasped, "Check out these claws, kid." I gathered my courage and peered over the edge. The claws were impressive, jagged and dark and razor sharp. So far, so good. I was a little nervous. "Could you stick out your tail?" I whispered. "Sure, but don't get scared." I peeked through my fingers at the slimy tail slithering over the foot of my bed. That's when I noticed the bow. "Are you a girl monster?" "Of course I am," she snapped. "I'm Cynthia. Do you have a problem with that?" Yeah, I do," I admitted. "I definitely need a boy monster. Boy monsters are for boys, and girl monsters are for girls. Everybody knows that." "Well, aren't you a picky one?" she sniffed, and then she was gone. Was I being too picky? No, I knew that my monster needed to be well-clawed and menacing. The whole point of having a monster, after all, was to keep me in bed, imagining all the scary stuff that could happen if I got out. Then I heard a shuffling noise and some slobbering. A fourth monster was under my bed. Hey, the name's Mac. One look at his claws proved that Mac was a big, scruffy boy monster. I shivered. Maybe this one would work out. Those are excellent claws, but do you have a long tail? I leaned over to see. No, my tail is stumpy, Max slurped. But I do have an unusually long tongue. Why would I be afraid of a long tongue? I asked. I don't know, he said, trying to sound terrifying. You never know when. I might lick you. I fell back on the bed laughing. That monster's kind of funny looking, isn't he? Well, if you're not even going to try to work with me, Mick whined. I held in my giggles. I really don't think you should send me away, he warned. Kids who reject 5 monsters in one night. I did not reject 5 monsters tonight, I interrupted. My regular monster went fishing. Fishing, eh? Maybe he just left because you're so picky. Fine, I'm out of here, but I wouldn't expect another monster tonight if I were you. How was I ever going to get to sleep without my monster? I was surprised to hear more creaking under the bed. Loud creaking with scratching. I thought no more monsters were going to appear tonight, I said. Sorry I'm late, kid. Whew, it was Gabe. I thought I would enjoy fishing, but I didn't, he explained. Those fish scare too easily. No challenge at all. You, however, are challenging, my friend. You're almost too old to be afraid of monsters. You keep me on my toes. Ah, toes, a delicious snack. The bed quivered as Gabe's stomach rumbled with hunger. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start the evening with an ominous puddle of drool. I peeked over the edge of the bed, and green ooze spread soundlessly underneath. All the green ooze. Then the bed trembled as Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. He was daring me to guess where he might pop up. I shivered. So you have some substitute monsters tonight, Gabe said, sharpening his claws on my bedpost. Were you scared? And Gabe started tapping. I could tell he wanted to know if I still needed him. No other monster can scare me like you, I giggled, diving under my covers and pulling them up tight. Through the blanket, I heard Gabe's soft, comforting snorts. Ha, I knew it. We're made for each other, he growled. My blanket started to slip off the bed. I knew Gabe was ready to eat. Now, if you could please stick out your foot, he said. I'd like to nibble your pinky. I yanked my blanket back up and scrunched my feet in so Gabe couldn't get them. No toes tonight, but you can have this, I offered, pushing a pillow off the bed. I didn't even hear it hit the floor. I think Gabe ate the pillow. Gabe was back. The ooze was perfect. Everything was back to normal. I shivered again. I'd be asleep in no time. The end. So he just needed his own perfect monster Gabe to help him feel better and go to sleep. Because he had to be just scared enough so he didn't get out of bed. All right. Our next story is called 10-Step Guide to Living with Your Monster. So if you have a monster, this is going to help you live with your monster. 10 easy steps. Are you ready? Step 1. Buying your monster. When choosing a monster, do not pick one who grabs you and starts to eat your shirt. Pick the monster who can play the banjo or tie his own shoes. You want to pick a nice monster. Step 2. Taking your monster to the vet. On the way home, be sure to get your monster a checkup. Hold his hand and make sure he gets a lollipop. Do not give him green lollipops. Give those to your dad. Step 3. Naming your monster. When you get home, you'll want to give your monster a name. Give him one that everyone in the family likes. You don't want to call him Hercules when your sister calls him Fluffy. Some good monster names are Ed, Bob, and Biff. He named his monster what? You see it? It says Bob. So his monster's name is Bob. 4. Feeding your monster. Monsters eat a lot. To save time, it might be easier for your family to move next door to the pet store. See all that monster food? It's a pretty hungry monster. Your monster will also need a water dish. What is he using as a water dish in this picture? Can you see? It's a little boy's bathtub. I think he needs his own water dish. Step 5, playing with your monster. Do not play fetch with your monster. Save this for your dog or little brother. Uh-oh, he fetched the whole tree. Set up a hoop for your monster to jump through. Make sure the hoop is bigger than your monster. Step 6, going places with your monster. Take your monster for a drive and stop at all the gas stations along the way. Monsters love to buy gum. Step 7, training your monster. Teach your monster to sit. Say, sit. This may take some time. It's a silly monster. Step 8, singing with your monster. Monsters love country and western music. Step 9, grooming your monster. Get your monster used to brushing his teeth. This won't be easy. Give your monster a bubble bath every month. This little boy had to use his swimming pool because his monster is so big. And step 10, putting your monster to bed. Always read your monster a bedtime story. Do not tell your monster to count sheep. Counting sheep will make him hungry. Tuck him in, turn out his light, and give him a big kiss good night. The end. Those are some good steps, weren't they? If you get a monster. It's like any other pet. You have to take care of him. Just this one eats lots of food and he has a big bathtub and needs lots of water. All right, this next book we're going to do together. It's called If You're a Monster and You Know It. Just like the song If You're Happy and You Know It, but if you're a monster and you know it. So I'm going to read it and you guys will get to do the actions along with the book. Are you ready? All right. If you're a monster and you know it, snort and growl. If you're a monster and you know it, snort and growl. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, snort and growl. See, snort and growl, you ready? Oh, snort and growl. You ready for the next one? If you're a monster and you know it, smack your claws. If you're a monster and you know it, smack your claws. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, smack your claws. How do you smack your claws? That you can snap, or scratch, or clap. Those are all good ways to smack your claws. If you're a monster and you know it, stomp your paws. If you're a monster and you know it, stomp your paws. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, stomp your paws. So you have to stomp your paws. You ready? Stomp those paws. Nice and loud, like a monster would be. Stomp, stomp. If you're a monster and you know it, twitch your tail. You twitch your tail. If you're a monster and you know it, twitch your tail. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, twitch your tail. You twitch your tail. You twitch your tail like these monsters are doing. If you're a monster and you know it, wiggle your warts. If you're a monster and you know it, wiggle your warts. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, wiggle your warts. You wiggle your warts. How about we wiggle our eyebrows and our nose? Because that's probably where we find a wart, right? On the tip of your nose. If you're a monster and you know it, give a roar. If you're a monster and you know it, give a roar. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, give a roar. Roar! You roar really loud. If you do it really loud, I might be able to hear you all the way here at the library. Hear you? Listen. That monster's doing a big roar. If you're a monster and you know it, do it all. So we can do it all together. Ready? Go. Snort. Growl. Grrr. Smack your claws. Stomp your paws. Twitch. You twitch your warts. Wiggle your nose and your eyebrows. And wiggle your tail. If you're a monster and you know it, do it all. If you're a monster and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're a monster and you know it, do it all. Okay, you ready? We'll do it one more time all together. Ready? Smack, smack, stomp, stomp. Twitch your tail. Wiggle your warts and roar. Ah! See, they're all doing all the different little things because they're all monsters, just like you. Now do it again. Well, we're not going to do it again, but if you want to do it again, you can just rewind the video a little bit and you can do it all over again. You get to be a monster. All right, it is time for our last story, and it's called Tickle Monster. Do you have a tickle monster living in your house? I'll bet you do. I come from Planet Tickle, you see. I'm a monster, but not the kind you must flee. I'm the happiest, silliest, zaniest kind. My talent is tickling. I think you'll soon find. I've traveled the galaxy, planets, and stars. I've tickled my way from Venus to Mars. I've traveled the world from Texas to Pisa. I've tickled King Tut and the Great Sphinx at Giza. Tickling my lovelies is what I do best. Are you sure you're ready for what's coming next? I am all in a tizzy, quite frizzy and dizzy. My fingers are squiggly, your piggies are wiggly. I may not be right, but I'd venture to say you ought to be tickled 10 times a day. So please don't you move, you better stay putsy. My first stop will be your adorable footsie. Tickle your adorable footsie. Maybe your tickle monster will tickle your adorable footsie while I'm reading this story. I need just a moment, as a matter of factly, to scheme where I'll tickle you next exactly. I'll tell you a secret, you sweet little pea. It's time to tickle your cute bony knee. Tickle your cute bony knee. I want you to know that tickles are ending. Not true, of course. I'm only pretending. Get ready for laughter, because here I come to tickle and tackle your little tum-tum. Tickle Monster's going to tickle your tum-tum. Let's stop, if you will. I have a request. My fingers are tired. They need a short rest. Just for a moment, let's make funny faces. Be fishes or monkeys or something outrageous. Surely by now you must be believing my spaceship is waiting and soon we'll be leaving. So let's say goodbye. Oh my, what the heck. I've decided to stay and nibble. What do you think? Your neck! Nibble your neck. No camel or kitten or bulldog or beagle, no kangaroo, elephant, zebra, or eagle, no octopus, platypus, chipmunk, or toucan knows how to giggle as well as you can. With big mitts like mine, my talents are obvious. Everyone says my tickling is marvelous. Here, let me prove it. Holy moly, kind kitties, the next place to tickle is your underarm pitties. Hold still now, no jumping or flinching or wiggling or no smiling or smirking or snorting or giggling. Now comes the moment for us to be serious. Next, you shall see something very mysterious. For my crowning achievement, I'll tickle your toes and your elbows, your knees, your neck, and your nose, and your ear lobes, your eyebrows, your chin, quite a tally. I'll tickle them all for my big grand finale. So I tickle you all over for the grand finale. Whew, that's enough. I'm exhausted from laughing. I've had so much fun. What a great time we're having. But now I must leave, find my coat, grab my hat. Planet Tickle is calling. It's time for my nap. Now please don't you worry and please don't you fret, because Tickle Monster isn't done with you yet. Here's one more thing before I must go. I love you so much, I want you to know. Off he goes. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed our monster story time today, and that you are a little less afraid of monsters, and you know that they're lots of fun and not very scary. And we will see you next time. Bye.